The day before we were supposed to get our marriage license, my childhood sweetheart and fiancé, Peter, suddenly announced his undying love for my best friend, Candy. In the wake of this double betrayal, everyone was waiting to watch me fall apart. But that's when Manhattan elite and CEO, Liam Anderson, appeared out of nowhere and began pursuing me relentlessly. So I gave up my career, trading my blueprints for an apron, and became the enviable Mrs. Anderson. At a business gala one night, I went to pick up a drunk Liam and overheard his sister mentioning me with pity in her voice. "Liam, that mall you built for Candy is about to open, isn't it? You've sacrificed so much to pave the way for her, even using your own marriage as a pawn." Liam's voice was laced with bitterness as he replied, "As long as Candy is happy, I will clear any and all obstacles from her path." It turned out all the affection, all the deep love had just been an act. I was just another piece in their game. And so, I decided it was time to walk away. I arrived at the gala at the Rosewood Hotel in a hurry, carrying a thermos of hangover soup with his assistant, Mr. Williams, in tow. A server informed us that Mr. Anderson was resting in the VVIP lounge. Before I could even push the door open, a thick cloud of cigar smoke and alcohol fumes drifted out, so strong it almost made me cough. Through the door, I heard a familiar woman's voice. "Liam, that mall you built for Candy is about to open, isn't it? All these years, you've done so much to pave the way for her, even calculating your own marriage. How long do you plan on deceiving Sonny?" Confused, I reached for the handle, but stopped when I heard Liam's voice, thick with alcohol and laced with a bitter edge. "Laura, as long as Candy is happy. I can keep up this act for a lifetime," he slurred. "I will remove any obstacle in her way." I felt like I'd been struck by lightning, my hand hovering, frozen, in the air. Beside me, Mr. Williams shot me a look of understanding mixed with pity, his eyes filled with nervous tension. So everyone knew, everyone except me. Suddenly, the elegant cello music drifting through the hotel sounded discordant and ugly to my ears. "Sonny loves you so much. What will you do if she ever finds out the truth?" Liam's reply was cold and final. "She will never know." Despite the warmth of the room, a chill ran straight through me. I turned to Mr. Williams and whispered, "Mr. Anderson has had too much to drink. Bring him out in a few minutes. I'll be waiting in the car." I added a warning. "And remember, not a word of what you shouldn't say." Sitting in the car, I stared blankly up at the starlight pattern on the ceiling. The memories of the past few years flashed through my mind like a slideshow, one frame at a time. My childhood sweetheart, Peter, had called off our wedding, creating a massive scandal. Just as everyone was waiting for me to become a laughingstock, Liam Anderson appeared, telling me he had been in love with me for years. Caught in the center of a media storm, I chose to marry him, our union becoming a celebrated story among Manhattan's elite. Looking back now, this marriage, woven from a tapestry of lies, was nothing more than a joke. When Mr. Williams helped Liam in the car, he seemed startled to see me there. The drunken haze in his eyes cleared in an instant, and he reached out, pulling me into his arms. "It was just a gala, Sonny. You could have sent Williams to get me." He stroked my hair. "You're not well. You shouldn't be running around like this." I forced a smile. "I was just worried about you." He caressed my cheek with a look of adoration. "The new mall opens tomorrow, so I'll probably be working very late. Just go to bed. Don't wait up for me, okay?" He added, "The weather's been unpredictable lately. Make sure you take care of yourself." Late that night, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. I remembered I'd left my headphones in the study. Inside, I noticed the corner of some papers sticking out from a drawer under his desk, a drawer he normally kept locked. On an impulse I can't explain, I gave it a tug, and it slid open. Inside were blueprints for every new property and retail space Liam had developed or planned to develop over the past few years, along with a black velvet box. As I flipped through the blueprints, I realized with a jolt that the names of every single project, from the buildings to the floor plans, even some of the logos, were all variations on Candy's name. Candace Plaza, Candace Heights, Candace Jewels. I'm an architect by trade, but after we got married, Liam said he didn't want me to overwork myself, so he never involved me in his business. Now I saw that his entire commercial empire was a monument to his unending love for Candy. I opened the velvet box. It was empty, though the certificate of authenticity was still inside. It was for the Star of the Ocean diamond necklace, the one that recently sold at auction for a staggering $300 million. I had told him how much I loved it, but Liam had said, "Sonny, that necklace isn't your style. If you want jewelry, I'll buy you anything you want from Hermes or Chanel." I remembered seeing a picture on Candy's Facebook yesterday, and around her neck was that very same Star of the Ocean necklace. I walked out onto the terrace into the deep night, the wind whipping my hair across my face. I tried to wipe the tears from my eyes, but they just kept coming. My phone screen lit up with an incoming iMessage. "Ms. Anderson, are you certain about this?" I typed back a simple reply. "I'm certain." It was time to leave. The next morning, as Liam was heading out, I stopped him. "I'm flying to Seoul tonight." He looked surprised. "Why so suddenly?" My heart ached, but I kept my voice casual. "I made plans with some friends. We're going for spa treatments and shopping. I'll only be gone for a couple of days." He gave me a light kiss on the cheek, completely oblivious to my turmoil. "That's good. Go have some fun. Buy yourself some new bags." I marveled at how perfectly he could perform this role of a devoted husband, how flawless the deception was. Since it was all a lie, it was time for me to make my exit from this charade. I remembered the address of the new mall from the blueprints and hailed a cab. After today, I would disappear from Liam Anderson's world completely. So I decided to see him one last time. Inside the mall, a large area had been cordoned off for the opening ceremony, and Liam stood out, a commanding presence in the crowd. He moved easily among the socialites, exchanging toasts. Candy was dressed to kill, looking radiant, her eyes full of a captivating charm. She raised her champagne flute to Liam. "Congratulations, Mr. Anderson." A complex mix of emotions flickered in Liam's eyes as he clinked his glass against hers. "Designer Miller, we have your first-class design to thank for making our Candace Plaza so magnificent. It's drawn a huge crowd on its very first day." You put a special emphasis on the words, "our plaza." My heart twisted in my chest. Standing there in the crowd, Candy was as radiant as a spring morning. I started walking toward them. When Liam saw me, a flicker of surprise crossed his face before it was replaced by his usual gentle expression. "Sonny, what are you doing here?" I forced a smile. "What's wrong? Am I not welcome?" Liam set down his glass. "Of course you are. It's just windy out, and you've always been so delicate. I worry about you catching a chill." Candy's red lips curved into a knowing smirk. Just then, Mr. Williams hurried over. "Mr. Anderson, it's time for your speech." Liam turned to me. "Go find a seat and rest. I'll be right with you." With that, he rushed to the stage. I picked up a slice of Napoleon cake and found a table. Candy clicked over in her high heels, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Well, look who it is. Sonny, my dear old friend." She sneered. "What's the matter? Gotten so used to being a housewife, you've decided to start keeping tabs on your man? Maybe you should just tie Liam to your apron strings." She covered her mouth to laugh, and the Star of the Ocean necklace around her neck seemed to burn my eyes. Candy and I had once been inseparable, so close we even decided to study architecture together at the same university. But after my fiancé, Peter, broke off our engagement to propose to her, our friendship was completely destroyed. The double betrayal of friendship and love left me devastated. Just when I thought my life was shrouded in darkness, Liam's arrival brought a new light. After we decided to get married, I was preparing for a major international architecture competition when Liam suddenly said to me, "Sonny, we don't need the money. Just relax and be the lady of the house. I can't stand to see you working so hard." Touched by his words, I immediately sold my design firm and withdrew from the competition. The eventual winner of that competition was Candy. She became an internationally renowned architect, while I became the rarely mentioned Mrs. Anderson. Looking back, it was clear Liam had been clearing the path for Candy from the very beginning. I looked around at the mall's interior, and the structural design seemed incredibly familiar. So familiar, I thought I might be imagining it, though some parts had been altered into a clumsy, incoherent mess. My heart began to pound violently. I had a set of blueprints saved on my computer, untouched for years. I hadn't opened the file since I gave up my career. How had my design from so long ago suddenly become Candy's? And how had Liam built it into a shopping mall? I pushed down the swirling questions in my mind and shot Candy a cold look. Just as I was about to speak, she suddenly cried out in a loud, theatrical voice, "Sonny, what are you doing? Are you trying to kill my baby?" She let out a sharp cry. Before I could even process what was happening, Candy crumpled to the floor, groaning in agony. Gasps erupted from the crowd around us. "Quick, call 911, someone shouted. A woman fell. Somebody get help." As people crowded around, their eyes turned to me, filled with disgust. Through the rising clamor, I saw a painfully familiar figure rushing forward, crying out her name. "Candy!" It was my husband, the man I had slept beside for 3 years. Liam's face was a mask of panic as he leaped down from the stage. He shoved me aside without a second glance, knelt by Candy's side, and gently lifted her into his arms. At that exact moment, the paramedics arrived with a stretcher. Liam carefully placed Candy onto the stretcher. Then he stood beside me, his face tight with barely suppressed rage. "I don't care how much you hate her. You had no right to hurt her," he seethed. "Did you know she's pregnant?" "She only just found out." I stared at him as if he were a complete stranger. My voice trembled slightly as I asked, "Why does the design of this mall look exactly like the blueprints on my computer?" Liam frowned. "How should I know? What blueprints? All architects use the same software. I'm sure a lot of designs look similar." A bitter smile touched my lips. Besides our housekeeper, he was the only other person who ever used that computer. Sensing my suspicion and anger, he loosened his tie, clearly agitated, and quickly changed the subject. "Look, I was just worried. I'm concerned about how to explain this to the Harris and Miller families. Candy is our lead designer. After all, I just don't want you to get into any trouble." Seeing the look on my face, Liam softened his tone and took my hand, squeezing it tightly. "I'll have Williams book a table at a restaurant. Why don't you go on ahead and rest? I'll join you for lunch as soon as I've sorted things out here. I'll handle the Millers and the Harises," he promised. I nodded. A part of me was almost impressed. He was willing to go to such lengths, to endure so much, all for Candy's happiness and security. When I stepped into the rooftop restaurant at the Starlight Hotel, the one with the most expansive city views, the floor was already covered in a carpet of fresh flowers. A few iMessages from Liam came through. The Harises said Candy is fine, just a little shaken up. Another followed. The Millers also said they won't press the issue. "It's all over, Sonny. You're fine." I stood by the window, watching the birds fly past, and replied to him, "Okay, that's good." I was about to put my phone away when a flood of photos and messages came through from Candy. "Oh my God, Sonny, I am so sorry. I sent those to the wrong person, and I can't unsend them now." I zoomed in on the photos. Her radiant smile was a dagger in my heart. In the corner of one picture was a man's hand, and on the wrist was the Patek Philippe watch I had given Liam for his birthday. I sat on the sofa and waited for a very long time, until the sun had completely set. Liam never showed up. I called Liam's phone, and someone answered immediately. "Hello." It was a woman's voice I didn't recognize. Her tone was deferential. "This is Candace Jules. I'm sorry, but Mr. Anderson has booked the entire boutique to help his partner shop for jewelry. May I ask who is calling, and if you have a message for Mr. Anderson? I can pass it along to him later." I ended the call and headed for the airport. Meanwhile, across town, Liam glanced at his watch. "Candy, have you chosen something yet? I'm sorry about what happened today. Pick out whatever you like. Consider it an apology from Sonny. I have to go now." Candy hooked her arm through his. "Liam, I haven't decided yet. Help me choose. Do you like the sapphire or the emerald better?" Suddenly, Mr. Williams burst into the boutique, his face pale and covered in sweat. "Mr. Anderson, the private jet, the one Mrs. Anderson took to Seoul, it exploded over the ocean." The jewel box Liam was holding in his other hand slipped from his grasp, shattering on the marble floor with a sickening crack. His voice was thick with disbelief. "What are you talking about?" Mr. Williams looked uneasy. "Sir, Mrs. Anderson waited for you at the restaurant from noon until sunset. She said you must be too busy, so she was heading to the airport to catch her flight." Liam refused to believe it. "Then why didn't she call me? She would never just leave without a word." He pulled out his phone, checked his call history, and then whirled on the sales associate, his voice frantic. "You answer a call from Sonny? Why didn't you tell me? What did she say?" The terrified employee pointed a trembling finger at Candy. Your partner said you were not to be disturbed for any reason while you were helping her choose her jewelry. Candy shot the employee a venomous glare before turning back to Liam, her expression instantly transforming into one of fragile innocence. Liam, I was just trying to pick something out quietly. You're not mad at me, are you? But this time, Liam didn't comfort her as he always did. He just turned and walked out, leaving her standing there. On the way to the coast, he nervously twisted the cufflinks on his shirt, his heart pounding with a terrible mixture of dread and fear. At the crash site, rescue boats were returning to the shore. The Coast Guard was helping a few survivors wrapped in blankets onto the dock. Liam's eyes lit up with hope, and he rushed forward. Sonny, are you there? But the people coming ashore were all members of the flight crew. An officer saw him and approached, his expression grim. Mr. Anderson, we've recovered all the crew members. But according to their statements, when the explosion happened, your wife didn't put on her oxygen mask. It also appears she never made it to an emergency raft. He paused. Even if she survived the initial blast in the water this long. I'm sorry, Mr. Anderson. We want to keep looking, but the conditions further out are too dangerous. For the safety of our crews, we have to suspend the search for now. The officer's voice was gentle. I am truly sorry. At this point, there's virtually no chance of survival. The world tilted on its axis. Liam's hands began to shake uncontrollably. He tried to crouch down, but a sharp, stabbing pain shot through his stomach, and a high-pitched ringing filled his ears until he could no longer see or hear anything at all. Seeing Liam's ashen, devastated face, the officer's expression softened with pity. Mr. Anderson, we've recovered the black box. We'll let you know what's on it as soon as we can. A few days later, Mr. Williams delivered an audio file to Liam's desk. It was the decoded recording from the cockpit voice recorder. In his office, Liam slumped in his chair, his eyes bloodshot as if he hadn't slept in days. He clenched his fist, then slowly reached out and pressed play. A panicked voice filled the room. Mrs. Anderson, the plane is going to blow. You need to put on your oxygen mask. We're attempting a water landing. It was a crew member shouting at me. Then my voice calm and slow. Liam, I think I'm about to die. For the last 3 years, thank you for your companionship. I continued. Years ago, Peter and I were engaged, and I came home to marry him. But the day before we were to get our license, he told me he was in love with Candy. He had proposed to her, and he asked for my blessing. Thank you for showing up when you did, for offering me kindness when I was at my lowest. My voice was steady, and even though that kindness was just an act for Candy's sake, I'm still grateful. Thank you for pulling me out of that abyss. And thank you for giving me this beautiful, fraudulent marriage. But then, when I discovered it was all a lie, you pushed me right back into it. My voice broke slightly. Those blueprints, Liam, they were for an art museum I wanted to design to honor my parents' memory. And you stole them to build a shopping mall for her. I took a breath. Now I'm going to die, so you can finally have what you want. I hope you can love her openly now, without all the secrecy and lies. Be happy. Goodbye, Liam. It was my final farewell. A series of massive explosions ripped through the recording, followed by the sound of rushing water, and then complete silence. No, a raw, guttural scream tore from Liam's throat. Mr. Williams, who had been standing silently nearby, finally spoke. Sir, that night at the hotel, what you and your sister were saying, Mrs. Anderson heard everything. A few days later, someone leaked the black box recording online. It caused an immediate firestorm. The Anderson, Harris, and Miller families were engulfed in the scandal. The stock prices for all 3 of their companies plummeted as rumors swirled across the internet. Some people on Twitter claimed Liam had orchestrated the crash to get rid of me for Candy. Others said I had taken my own life because I couldn't bear their affair. By the time I heard all this, I was already in the sunny coastal city of Santa Barbara, breathing in the salty ocean air. Using the inheritance my parents had left me, I bought a small house and opened my own architectural design firm. One of the flight crew members called me once. Ms. Anderson, Mr. Anderson isn't doing well. I laughed. Have you forgotten? I'm dead. His well-being has nothing to do with me anymore. He was quiet for a moment before continuing. He hired private search teams. They searched that area of the ocean for over a month. His sister couldn't get him to stop. His father had to come and drag him home, and I heard he really let him have it. Oh, right. I'd almost forgotten about my father-in-law, who was supposed to be retired in Florida. It seemed the scandal had finally gotten bad enough to affect the Anderson family's reputation and stock price, forcing the old man himself to intervene. I said coolly, Liam played with my life. He deserves whatever consequences come his way. The crewman went on. Also, I heard Ms. Miller and Mr. Harris had a huge fight, and she ended up having a miscarriage. She tried to go see Mr. Anderson, but he refused to even open the door to her. She tried to take everything that was mine. She's only getting what she deserves, I said, shaking my head before ending the call. At first, I wasn't used to life in Santa Barbara, the humid ocean air, the intense sunlight, or the almost overwhelmingly friendly people. I hired a few young women at my firm, and when they found out I was living alone, they insisted on dragging me to the beach to try surfing and paddleboarding. I, who had spent years indoors, slowly fell in love with being outside, my skin turning a healthy, golden brown. I designed new homes for families and kindergartens for the community, and watching people build their lives piece by piece helped to fill the empty spaces in my own heart. One day, Zoe, one of my junior designers, pulled me aside conspiratorially. Sonny, my uncle wants to build a children's art museum. He was wondering if you'd meet him for dinner tonight to discuss it. I gave her a skeptical look. It's wonderful that an older gentleman wants to build a museum. Sure, set up a time. At that, Zoe burst out laughing. I didn't understand why she was laughing until we got to the restaurant. Her uncle looked like he was barely a few years older than her, with broad shoulders, long legs, and a strikingly handsome face. After he sat down, our server seemed to find a dozen reasons to keep coming back to our table. I chanced a discreet glance in his direction. He was leaning back in his chair with a calm confidence, his features sharp and well-defined, with a high-bridged nose and intense eyes. He looked a bit like a famous actor. Suddenly, his head turned, and his deep-set eyes met mine. I felt a ridiculous flutter of panic and quickly looked down, taking a sip of water. Zoe, meanwhile, was enthusiastically making introductions. Uncle Alex, this is my boss, Sonny. She's an amazing architect, a graduate from the Z University program. Then she turned to me, wiggling her eyebrows. Sonny, this is my Uncle Alex. He's single and rich. Alex cleared his throat, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. Thank you for looking after Zoe. She's a bit spoiled, I'm afraid. We worried she might be a handful at her first real job. She can be a little blunt sometimes, so I hope you'll be patient with her. I nodded. She's energetic, and she's a very dedicated and responsible worker. A warm smile spread across Alex's handsome face. That's a relief. The family was worried she'd get into trouble. He grew more serious. To the point, I'm planning to build an art museum for children with autism. Zoe told me you're incredibly talented and that I should ask you to design it. I was wondering if you'd be interested. Something in my heart stirred, and my expression turned serious. My parents always wanted to build a museum for children of the stars, as they called them, but it never got around to it. Now that you have this vision, I would be honored to be a part of it. I met his gaze. Mr. Zhao, I'll do the design pro bono. All I ask is that you guarantee the project will be fully funded through completion. Alex looked at me intently for a long moment, then gave a firm nod. Done. On the day we broke ground for the Starlight Museum, we held a small ceremony. I clasped my hands together and said a few quiet words to my parents, wherever they were. When I opened my eyes, I saw Alex standing nearby, a gentle smile on his handsome face. For no reason at all, my heart skipped a beat. I spent that entire, sweltering summer at the construction site, monitoring the museum's progress day by day. I got tanner, leaner, and felt healthier than I had in years. Alex said he felt guilty for how hard I was working and was constantly taking me out to dinner at different restaurants as a reward. During that time, I saw news about Liam and Candy pop up online again. After her miscarriage, Candy and Peter had fought constantly over the online gossip, and they eventually divorced. Liam hadn't gotten together with Candy. Instead, he tried to walk away from his company to search for me, a move for which his father had apparently disciplined him severely. By the time the autumn leaves turned red, the Starlight Museum was finished and ready for its grand opening. I had waited so long for this moment. In my old life, to be the perfect Mrs. Anderson, to avoid being seen as frivolous with Liam's money, I had buried this dream deep inside my computer, only for him to steal it for Candy. When we went over budget during construction, I went to Alex, full of anxiety. He just told me not to worry about the cost, only the result. He wasn't short on funds. Not only did he invest $10 million into the museum itself, but he also donated 10 times that amount to the Associated Children's Charity. The moment the doors opened to the public, I was overcome with emotion and, without thinking, threw my arms around Alex in a celebratory hug. A second later, I realized what I'd done and, embarrassed, started to pull away. But Alex gently hugged me back. The clean, woodsy scent of his cologne was comforting, and for a moment, I forgot to pull away. "Sonny," a furious voice shattered the moment. I turned, and my blood ran cold. Candy stood there, her eyes blazing with pure hatred. "I knew it. I knew you weren't dead, you bitch. Do you have any idea what you've done to me?" She took a step closer. "You destroyed my life, and now you're just hiding out here like a coward, moving on with some other man as if nothing ever happened." Alex frowned and moved to stand in front of me. Candy's hair was a mess, and she had lost all of her former polished beauty. Her eyes held a wild, frantic look. She sneered. "This brilliant museum design. You made sure it was all over Facebook, didn't you? Even our old professors from Z University were messaging me, asking if it was your work. The second I saw the pictures, I knew it was from your old blueprints," she spat. "Why won't you just disappear? Why do you have to keep ruining my life?" Her voice rose to a shriek. "What? Were you mad that I used your design for them all? Did you build this whole museum just to spite me? Who the hell do you think you are to compete with me?" Her venomous words sent a chill down my spine. We had once been the kind of friends who told each other everything. But she had stolen Peter from me, and then she had commanded every ounce of Liam's attention. Even with all that, she wasn't satisfied until she had ground me into the dust. The truth was, I had never truly hated her, but she clearly hated me to her very core. I looked at my former best friend, my voice cold as ice. "I never wanted to compete with you, Candy, and I never wanted to destroy your happiness. You're the one who stole Peter behind my back and then went after Liam. This museum was my design. You're the one who used my blueprints without permission and butchered them. I didn't raise my voice. What's the matter? Now that Peter and Liam both want nothing to do with you, you've come to blame me?" The color drained from Candy's face. "You bitch. Why didn't you just die? It would have solved everything. It's all your fault. Because of you, I lost my baby. Because of you, Peter divorced me. Because of you, Liam won't even speak to me." She advanced on me. "That recording. You leaked it on purpose, didn't you? Faking your own death just to frame me. You're a real piece of work. Who did you have to sleep with to pull all this off? Don't get too comfortable." I looked at her with something like pity. "Watch your mouth, Candy." My voice was low and even. "You were the one who was jealous of my engagement to Peter, so you went behind my back. Then you seduced Liam and had him steal my work. You played dirty, and now you're facing the consequences. You brought all of this on yourself." Her face went white with rage, and she swung at me. But Alex stepped in the way, taking the full force of the slap himself. A bright red handprint immediately bloomed on his handsome face. A surge of fury went through me, and I slapped her back hard. "Have you lost your mind? This competition was always in your head, not mine," I shouted. "I never wanted to win anything from you." Candy clutched her cheek, a crazed laugh escaping her lips. "See, that's what I can't stand about you. That holier-than-thou, pretentious act. And everyone always fell for it, all our teachers, all our friends. You're such a fake. You can run, Sonny, but you can't hide. Today you're going to pay." She dodged around Alex, lunged at me, and shoved me with all her might. I stumbled backward, off balance, about to crash hard onto the pavement. "Sonny." A voice cried out my name, a familiar voice, filled with a strange mix of joy, excitement, fear, and worry. "Liam." He lunged forward and caught me, his hands steadying my fall. The momentum scraped his palms against the rough ground, and I saw blood begin to well up. I quickly regained my footing and stepped away from him. He stared at me, his eyes wide with emotion, locking onto me as if I were a priceless treasure he thought he'd lost forever. Thank God. Sonny, you're okay, he breathed. You're alive. You're really here. I had never seen Liam so completely undone. He looked gaunt and fragile, as if a single touch might shatter him. He had lost so much weight that his expensive suit hung loosely on his tall frame. His voice was raw as he repeated, over and over, Sonny, you're alive. Thank God, thank God. A flash of pure hatred crossed Candy's face. Then she promptly sat down on the ground and began to wail. Liam, I fell down too. I am hurt. Aren't you going to help me? Tears streamed down her cheeks as she looked up at him pitifully. Liam didn't even glance in her direction, his eyes fixed only on me. Alex stepped forward, his voice firm and unwelcoming. Excuse me, today is the grand opening of my museum. I don't recall sending either of you an invitation. You're not welcome here. Please leave. Candy, still on the ground, began to sob. Liam, are you really just going to ignore me? Look at me. Liam finally turned and glared at her. Shut up. If you hadn't been clinging to me all day, Sonny would never have been in danger in the first place. He turned back to me, his expression a mixture of ecstatic relief and desperate regret. Sonny, I was wrong. Please come home. I'll change. I'll do anything. His eyes pleaded with a humility I'd never seen in him before. Just forgive me. You want to run your own firm? You want to build 100 museums? I'll give you anything you want. When it became clear no one was going to help her, Candy scrambled to her feet, her face contorted with rage. Liam Anderson, how dare you treat me like this? She screamed at him. You used to follow me around like a puppy. Don't you love me anymore? The day I married Peter, you drank yourself into a stupor for me. When I got pregnant, you built me a shopping mall. Have you forgotten everything you did for me? Can't you see she's already found your replacement? Alex cut in, his voice sharp. That's enough. I'm asking you both to stop causing a scene and to leave Ms. Anderson alone from now on. Liam shot Alex a hostile glare. Who the hell are you? And what business is this of yours? He turned back to me. Sonny, I know you still love me. You have to. His voice was desperate. You're just using this guy to make me jealous, right? That's all this is. Hit me, scream at me, do whatever you want. Just please forgive me. Liam's eyes suddenly widened as if remembering something. The blueprints. The ones you talked about on the recording. Candy bribed our housekeeper to steal them. He explained frantically. Sonny, I swear on my life, I never gave them to her. You have to believe me. A wave of sadness washed over me, but my voice was calm when I spoke. Liam, you were never in love with me. Our entire marriage, from start to finish, was a mistake. He shook his head, his expression resolute, and then, to my shock, he dropped to his knees in front of me. No, Sonny, that's not true. I was just infatuated. I was a fool. I thought what I felt for her was love, but I was wrong. When I heard you were gone, my heart stopped. I wanted to die too. Sonny, it's you. You're the one I truly love. Alex discreetly signaled to the security guards, and several large men began walking in our direction. Realizing she was being completely ignored, Candy seemed to snap. She pulled a box cutter from her pocket and lunged at me. You like playing dead so much, Sonny? Then why don't you do it for real? In a split second, Alex threw himself in front of me, raising his arm to block the blow. The sharp blade sliced deep into his forearm, and blood began to pour from the wound. The security guards tackled Candy, pinning her to the ground. With her face pressed into the dirt, she started laughing, a high, unhinged sound. You slut, Sonny. Ha ha. You'll get yours one day. You'll see. I rushed to Alex's side, grabbing his arm. Alex, are you okay? Behind me, Liam just stood there, watching us go, his mouth open as if to speak, but no words came out. At the hospital, I watched as the doctor stitched up the gash in Alex's arm. Zoe was pacing beside us, frantic. Uncle Alex, I was busy inside for 2 minutes. How did you already get hurt? You're so clumsy. Alex shot her a look, and understanding dawned on her face. Oh, right. I'll, go take care of the paperwork. And with that, she scurried away. I looked at Alex, my voice full of apology. I'm so sorry, Alex. This is all my fault. He just smiled. Actually, I'm glad it was me and not you. I looked at him, my emotions in a tangle. Alex, you heard everything they said back there. My past is complicated and messy. I confessed. I moved here to escape a failed marriage to Liam Anderson. Alex gently took my hand. Sonny, every relationship, even the painful ones, teaches us something. Just because it didn't work out doesn't mean you failed. It just means it wasn't the right match. He squeezed my hand. I can wait. I'll wait until you're ready to let me into your world. I sighed and gently touched the red mark on his cheek. Does it still hurt? I'm so sorry. This is all because of me. Alex stopped me. It's not your fault. It's that crazy woman's fault. I couldn't help but smile, though it quickly faded. I am sorry, Alex. My heart's been broken more than once. It might take a very long time for me to be ready. Alex's laugh was low and warm, and his voice was incredibly reassuring. That's okay. I'll wait while you put the pieces back together, one by one. He smiled. And don't worry, I will never, ever push you to do something you're not ready for. Just let me be here, even as a friend. You should know, when you're focused on your work, you absolutely glow. The next morning, to my surprise, Liam was waiting downstairs for my office. He'd had his hair cut and was wearing a well-tailored suit. He looked as handsome and charming as ever. And yet, as he stood there waiting, there was an air of profound loneliness about him. His eyes lit up the moment he saw me. Sonny, you're here. I kept my voice cool. How did you know where to find me? He looked a little awkward as he held out a small white card. You dropped this yesterday. Your business card. It has the address on it. It was strange to see the man I had lived with for years acting so timid and cautious. Let's go to the coffee shop down the street, I said. My employees will be arriving soon, and it wouldn't be good for them to see you here. At the cafe, Liam just stared at me, letting his coffee grow cold without taking a sip. He seemed to be gathering his thoughts before he finally spoke. You look well. Much better. He hesitated. Sonny, please, just give me a chance to apologize. I didn't appreciate you, and I want to make it up to you. He gestured to his chest. Ever since you disappeared, it's felt like there's a hole right here. I searched for you in the ocean for weeks. Everyone told me to give up, but I couldn't. That's when I realized how much it hurt to lose you. I swear, I thought what I felt for Candy was real. I was just so used to doing things for her, to clearing her path, but it wasn't love. I'm so sorry. My foolishness is what hurt you. He looked at me earnestly. All those properties, Candace Plaza, all of them. I'm changing the names. I'll put them all in your name. I set down my coffee cup. It's too late, Liam, I said softly. I used to be the woman who gave up her career to be the perfect wife for you, trapped in a gilded cage by your false affection. But now I know what it's like to be free. What I want isn't to be Mrs. Anderson or anyone else's wife. Liam looked at me, his desperation growing. I can give you shares in the company. I'll fund a new firm for you, bigger than this one. Anything you want, Sonny, I can give it to you. I turned my head to look out the window, but I don't want any of it anymore. Even if I were to move back to New York, I wouldn't be with you. Tears welled in Liam's eyes. Is it because of him? Whatever he can give you, I can give you more. I can give you double. A small, sad smile touched my lips. He gives me the freedom to choose for myself. Can you? I looked him in the eye. I am sorry, Liam. Too much has happened. I don't love you anymore. Liam froze, staring at me in stunned silence for a long time. He finally lowered his head, looking like a little boy who had been scolded, and his voice was barely a whisper. I am sorry, he said. I won't bother you again. I thought I saw the glint of a tear fall onto the table before he stood up and walked away. Not long after that, I saw in the news that Candy had been officially charged with assault with a deadly weapon. She was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Afraid the scandal would further damage their stock prices, both the Miller and Harris families disowned her. In the end, she had no one to even visit her in prison. The holidays were approaching, and the Starlight Museum was filled with festive decorations and the happy sounds of children. My phone buzzed. It was a notification from a bank. A deposit of $3 million had just been made to the Starlight Children's Foundation. The memo attached had only 2 words, I'm sorry. I didn't reply. Zoe handed me a cup of coffee, wiggling her eyebrows mischievously. Sonny, I heard you agreed to have dinner at our house with my uncle. She grinned. Does this mean I'm going to have to start calling you Aunt Sonny soon? I looked across the room and saw Alex playing a game of Go with a little girl. He glanced up, saw me watching, and gave me a warm smile before turning his attention back to his opponent. A breeze drifted through the open window, making the wind chimes on the wall sing. I started walking toward him,